Hi everybody, Quadrajet Power here. Gonna do a base plate rebuild. Getting ready to assemble this complete carburetor. Gonna start with the base plate. Got everything, all the components and everything we need already laid out. Have our bushing kit from quadrajetpower.com. Got our custom built drill bit that's two-stage, so it's self-aligning. So it'll go into the bore and then cut with the stop collar on it. We sell those, and we sell the whole thing in a kit as well. So this is the bushings and the 8 screws for the primary side. It's a skew BBS. Then we have 10 bushings plus the screws, and the drill bit, stop collar, and everything is under BBK, is our SKU number at quadrajetpower.com. So, going to put the bushings in and assemble this this base plate. This is from a Buick 70 model. So we're gonna drill the primary bores first. Secondary bores rarely need bushings. We hear the discussion all the time. The primary side has the pull of the throttle cable and the throttle return spring pulling on it back and forth constantly through the life of the carburetor. And with the steel shaft and aluminum base creates an issue. So we use the bronze bushings. These are oil impregnated, so it's a permanent fix for any Quadrajet. So we're going to get started here. And of course we have our safety glasses. We don't want to have any of this in our face. Now that the holes are drilled, we're going to use a bolt to drive these in. We've got a little piece that we've used for years. Going to put a little red Loctite on, and then we're going to drive it into the stopping point. And once they're installed, they're in place on both sides. Now we're gonna run the drill bit back through just to make sure there's not any edges. Now we're gonna test the primary shaft for a good fit and a good smooth operation. There we have, nice and tight, but still free moving. So that's exactly what we want to see. Now, this one has the shaft that comes from the passenger side. It's going to go through, going to get in place. The secondary shaft, just in original production, has a little bit more tolerance on it anyway, so it's always going to leak some vacuum. It's impossible to get 100% seal on any shaft, but they have to be a little bit looser by design to make sure that those large rear throttle blades can close completely. Now we've got the secondary rod components here. We're going to slip that over. We're going to slip the rod through the primary shaft spot so we're together that way. Now we're going to slide the primary shaft in. This one has the inner spring. Add it over the rear shaft. Now we'll place we'll hook the little hook of the spring over the edge there. And now we'll install the outer spring. To do that, we're gonna hold the secondary rod in place as we pull the secondary edge open, and then we're gonna slide that over the slot in the rod until it locks in place. And now we're ready to tighten these. So we're going to do the outer spring first. You pull it all the way around. It's not easy to do when camera situation, so I'm going to do it this way. So we're going to pull the outer spring all the way around. It's so easy after we've done 1,000 or so of these. So now the outer spring's in place. Now we're going to pull the inner spring around, wrap it around, and pull it back over the stop. So there we go. Both of the springs are in place. We're going to verify that everything moves as it should. Okay. All the shafts are moving free. Okay, now we're going to install the primary throttle blades. These do go a certain way. They've got a slight bevel on the edge. Typically, the stamp is going to go towards the center up on top. It's not always the case, as with Quadrajets. Every rule has about 20 exceptions, it seems. So, but this is the most common way, but you just want to make sure that they set in place correctly. You want to line up correctly. You want to make sure your shafts are lined up side by side so that the throttle blades can fit easily. We always use new screws. We ground the backs off the old ones to get them out so that they don't break when you take them off. You always need to grind the backs off. They're staked from the factory. We use red Loctite, so there's no need to stake these after we put it back together. We use hardened screws. It's the ones that we sell are the hardened screws. We see aluminum ones. We see all kinds of soft metal ones that break easily. We don't sell those. We only sell these hardened steel. And they're black like the originals. So if you're looking to do some, keep it original is what we do. Okay, so the primary blades are in place. I'm going to now look up at the light, verify that it's got a good seal, and it does. So we're going to tighten these down. Verify good movement, good closure. Now going to the secondaries. The secondaries, typically you can see, even after these were cleaned and polished, you can see where what portion was laying on the shaft. Usually on the secondary side, the number stamp that's on the blades goes towards the center of the carburetor on the facing down. Always need to double check that. Got to make sure the secondary shaft is in line so that you've got good closure of the secondaries. You don't want them sticking or not sealing correctly when it's all the way closed. Got to have a little more tolerance there. So I'm going to push this shaft over just a little bit to make sure it lines up good before I put these screws in. So we cleaned everything up. We refinished the bottom. Make sure that it's good and smooth. To do the cleaning process, it's a multi-stage cleaning process. It starts with after we disassemble, we soak in a carburetor cleaner. Then we use ultrasonic to degrease everything. Now we're going to verify good closure. And we have good complete closure. You're going to see a little bit of light outside the edges. That's common, but we want to make sure that it's got a good seal and not a big gap anywhere. So everything's in place. So now we're going to make sure everything opens and closes as it should. Shouldn't be any kind of stopping on the secondary side. Sometimes you'll see that they'll stop a little bit before they close. You need to loosen them up and make sure you realign and make sure that they're all good. So now we're going to go, in this particular one, we're going to install the choke cam follower. It's going to go on first. The fast idle adjustment screw is going to go on next. And it's going to go, make sure it lines up here against these. The Buick doesn't have a spring to hold all this in place, just the screw itself. So some have a spring to pull everything back in place. We want to make sure that this is free after we tighten this up. If the shaft was too far towards the throttle side, then this would bind, and we need to loosen everything up and slide the shaft this way. So now we've got everything in place there. The only thing left is the idle mixture screws. We put a little silicone in there just to make sure that they stay free. Got the spring install over these. Put those in place. And we're going to tighten. We're going to screw these all the way closed till they seat. Then we're going to back them out 2 turns. That's always a good starting point. These will need to be adjusted for the highest vacuum or highest idle speed after it's installed and back on the vehicle. So there, we've got the base plates complete now. Everything's assembled. It's ready to go onto the body of the carburetor. You can see from the bottom side, we've resurfaced everything so it's good and smooth. Everything's open completely, and this one's good to go. Again, you can get all your parts at quadrajetpower.com. We sell all the kits, all the components. We sell used shafts, used pieces, parts, anything you need for your Quadrajet at quadrajetpower.com. Hope this helps. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.